Gunung Gede. The wind whispered through the dense trees of Mount Gede like voices echoing from another realm. The early morning mist still clung tightly to the forest floor, dampening every step, every breath. For most, the mountain was a paradise, a place of lush beauty and spiritual retreat. But for those who knew the old stories, Mount Gede was also something else, cursed. It was supposed to be a simple hiking trip. 5 college students, Ronnie, Adi, Jaya, Nina, and Faisal, had been planning the climb for months. They were all nature lovers, thrill seekers with a passion for chasing Indonesia's breathtaking peaks. Ronnie was the leader of the group, confident and experienced. Jaya, her boyfriend, had a talent for reading maps. Nina was the quiet one, often lost in thought, while Adi and Faisal were the loud duo, always joking, always filming for their YouTube hiking channel. They arrived at the base of the mountain just as the sun began to rise, casting long shadows through the trees. Locals had warned them, "Do not stray from the marked trail," one old woman said, her eyes foggy but intense, "and do not camp near the forbidden stone. It awakens what sleeps." Ronnie laughed it off. "Just superstitions. Every mountain has its ghost stories." As they began their ascent, the forest enveloped them in a hush. The usual sounds of wildlife were oddly absent. The higher they climbed, the more unnatural the silence became. Still, they pressed on, following the designated path until they reached an open area with a large moss-covered rock in its center. It was circular, blackened at the edges like it had been scorched. Carvings, ancient and barely visible, ran along its sides. "This looks dope for a thumbnail," Adi grinned, setting up his camera. "Should we camp here?" Jaya asked, setting down his pack. Ronnie hesitated. She remembered the warning, the forbidden stone. But logic overrode fear. They were tired, and this clearing was flat and safe. She nodded. "Yeah, we'll stay here." That night, the fire crackled weakly as the mist rolled in again, heavier than before. Nina sat silently, staring into the trees. "Something's watching us," she said suddenly. "Probably a monkey," Faisal joked, but his voice was hollow. "No," Nina whispered. "It's older than that. It's angry." Everyone laughed nervously and decided it was just exhaustion. They crawled into their tents, but sleep didn't come easily. Ronnie awoke to the sound of crunching leaves. She peeked out of her tent and froze. Just beyond the firelight, a tall, gaunt figure stood watching them. Its limbs were too long, its skin pale like death. No eyes, just empty sockets, and a mouth stretched wide into a grotesque grin. She blinked. It was gone. The next morning, she didn't say anything. No one did. But they all looked tired, eyes sunken, skin pale. As they packed up, Nina asked, "Can we go back down?" "We're too far in," Ronnie replied. "One more night and we descend." They pressed on, but something had changed. The forest felt wrong. The trees leaned in closer. They no longer saw birds or insects. Time distorted, what felt like an hour became 3. The trail split, even though maps said it never did. Jaya frowned. "This isn't right. This trail shouldn't exist," but they took it anyway, drawn by something none of them could name. The path led them to a ravine, where an old wooden bridge stretched across the gap. It swayed with every gust of wind, the wood creaking ominously. "I don't like this," Faisal muttered. "Let's just go one at a time," Adi said, stepping forward. As Adi crossed, halfway through, a scream tore from his throat. The others watched in horror as he was yanked upward, not down, as if something unseen had grabbed him from above. His body twisted unnaturally, his scream choking off into silence. He vanished into the mist. Faisal shouted his name, stepping onto the bridge, but Ronnie stopped him. "We run. Now." They turned back, but the path was gone. No, not gone, changed. Trees that weren't there before now stood in their way, forming a wall of branches. The forest had shifted. They had no choice but to move forward. The second night, they didn't bother with tents. They sat in a circle, backs to each other, staring out into the darkness. Jaya held a knife. Ronnie clutched her flashlight like a weapon. Nina rocked back and forth, humming a lullaby no one recognized. Faisal broke the silence. I saw it, the thing. The one that took Adi. It was smiling. Shut up, Jaya hissed. Don't give it power. Then came the laughter. Soft at first, like a child. It echoed from the trees, bouncing between trunks. Then came whispers, hundreds of them, in a language no one understood. Nina stood. Her eyes were blank, her face expressionless. It's calling me. Ronnie jumped up. Nina, no. But Nina was already walking into the forest. They chased her, but she moved faster than possible, almost floating. They found her at the base of a tree, her neck twisted, her mouth full of soil. She had buried her own face into the earth. Dead. Faisal screamed and ran. Ronnie and Jaya chased after him but lost him in the dark. The mist had become a fog, thick and suffocating. By morning, only Ronnie and Jaya remained. They didn't speak. They just walked, directionless. Compass spinning. The mountain would not let them leave. Eventually, they found themselves back at the blackened stone. The moss had peeled away overnight, revealing more of the carvings, not just symbols, but faces. Twisted, agonized faces. Ronnie fell to her knees. It's a trap, she whispered. This whole place. It feeds on us. Jaya placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we fight. But the forest didn't care. That night, Jaya vanished without a sound. Ronnie woke to his empty sleeping bag and a trail of blood leading back into the woods. Now alone, Ronnie did the only thing left, she climbed higher. At the summit, where the clouds kissed the rocks, she found an altar, ancient, crumbling. Bones surrounded it. Hundreds of them. She understood then. Mount Gede wasn't cursed. It was alive. And it was hungry. She screamed, not in fear, but in fury. She lit her final flare, casting blood-red light across the summit. Take me, she shouted. But the mountain wanted her to suffer. It whispered her name as the shadows closed in. She was never found. 3 weeks later, a search party recovered only one item, Adi's camera, buried near the forbidden stone. The footage was mostly corrupted. But one clip survived. It showed the group laughing on the first night, gathered around the fire. In the background, barely visible, a pale figure watched from the trees. Grinning,